Hey everyone, Boardgame Brody here with Meeple Mountain. I was sent a brand new copy of Tiny Towns by AEG. Everyone loves delivery day where you get your package delivered each and every day at the exact same time. What's this? More stone? I have more stone than I know what to do with. Well, I guess I'll just have to make another fountain and place it over here by the others. What? Even more stone? What the heck is going on? You go tell that master builder to come down here right now and explain to me what his plans are. I've got cottages to build, a huge feast hall to feed everyone in, and don't forget about the archive of the Second Age that is planned right here where you are standing. Tiny Towns is a city building abstract strategy family game that has been very popular as of last year. AEG recently came out with the new expansion to add to the base game, and I will also have a separate video explaining that expansion if that interests you. Instead of showing you how to set up and play the game, this time I'm going to explain why I think Tiny Towns has been given so much love. The first thing I think that this game does well is the fact that each player has their own puzzle and their own city to do what they want with. No one else is going to come over and mess with it by placing resource blocks or constructing a building that wasn't desired. Each player has their own board in front of them and are focused on figuring out the best way to build their city. Like for myself, I'll make sure I know what all the cards say and how I can make the most points from them. And I make a plan. For example, I'm going to try to build as many tailors as I can right here in the middle 4 squares because they'll give me some big points. And then these abbeys need to be away from these types of buildings, and so they can't be touching these 4 middle squares. So let's see, I will have to put them over here in the corners of the board. With the other 8 squares, I'll slowly place cottages or any of the other buildings, and because I have this awesome monument that would allow me not to build a building to feed all my cottages, then I want to plan on building that in one of these 8 squares as well. Okay, so the plan is set. But another great thing about this game is when you're forming a plan, like I just did, it will never work. This is because all other players will be choosing resources that they need on their board, but usually you don't want them. And they'll start taking up space until you need to use them to build something. This causes you to panic and change strategies. I think this mechanic of taking turns and choosing a resource and having all other players also have to take that resource works very well, as there is limited room on the board. This causes you to panic and change strategies. I think the mechanic of taking turns and choosing a resource and having all other players use it works very well, as there's limited room on the board, so you're already ruining someone's plans, but then they have to look up at all the building cards to see what they can build with the new resource that you just made them put on their board. It also seems like this mechanic also works better with more than just 2 players, as you need to anticipate what resources other players might be wanting to gather. And when it's your turn as Master Builder, you can choose the resource that all other players are more likely not going to choose. I would have to say about 3 or 4 players might be the sweet spot for this game, but the fact that you can play 6 players is huge. What other games similar to this game's awesomeness, its weight, and its length can you play for 6 players? Not many at all. So the fact that you can grab this game to play when you have 5 or 6 players wanting to play a game is pretty huge. Most of the time, 5 or 6 players shut down 90% of my shelf, but this one will get delivered right to the table like it was a gift from the Master Builder. Speaking of Master Builder, check out this hammer. Now you get to have this when you're playing as the Master Builder. In fact, all of the components in this game are pretty amazing. I mean, that's a lot of wood. They aren't all the exact size. They all have different colors from bright to black, with black representing the types of building that it would, like a bank, a factory, a trading post, a warehouse. All these buildings fit on your board differently, like the longer orange pieces can be tilted on your board slightly, and well, it just makes the board look a little more like a city. The art on the cards are pretty great and helps you further stretch your imagination of building a city, because a 4x4 grid isn't really the prettiest city out there. I even more like the art that's on new monuments, but it's probably because they are monuments and are supposed to represent something amazing. The most amazing thing for me is the game design has planned on certain types of buildings being in the game. You don't just shovel all the cards together and randomly place out 7 cards, but there are 4 cards that represent each type of buildings, minus the cottage of course, because the cottage is the constant. So each and every time you play the game, you truly get a different city, And every building will score differently as well, resulting in new discoveries of scoring while still making a lovely city. But not one combination of buildings will rule the game. The game is still familiar enough that each time you play, you'll remember the rules and you won't have to look up everything about how to play the game. So really what I'm trying to say through all of this is that the production value, the fact that it plays up to 6 players, the lovely art, the mechanics, the puzzle experience, and the challenge of receiving resources that you don't necessarily need makes Tiny Towns one of the best family games that has recently came out. And let me add that the price tag isn't crazy either. Now the player interaction in this game, some might say none, but it has the indirect interaction that me and my wife really like in game. It's like, I have something good going on here right in front of me, don't mess with it. Delivery! Oh great, another box of brick? That's perfect! Now I can complete the Architect's Guild! And I'll just upgrade these buildings here as well, just perfect! Build your tiny town by placing resources each turn on your grid. Whenever they form a pattern matching a building card, it is replaced with that building on any one square that the pattern was originally formed on in Tiny Towns by AEG.
Again, this is Boardgame Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.